Hey, what's up? What's going on? It's your girl Mary Jane. Please like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share the video. It'd be greatly appreciated. From the bottom of my heart, my peeps, my peoples. So what's good? Let's get into it. Southern Charm, the reunion, part 2. Southern Charm, season 4, episode 15. The reunion, part 2. So we start off where we left off at with Thomas is being an asshole. He's threatening Catherine. Catherine, if she runs her mouth, if she says anything else about the situation with him and Jennifer and the baby father issue, that he would take her to court and she would never be able to work again and all this other shit. So, Thomas is, threatening her. So anyways, and then we get to Jennifer and, Catherine. They actually go in at it. Catherine's still accusing Jennifer of sleeping with Thomas or betraying her. And so then they get to the scene where they show Catherine and Jennifer at the restaurant outside having lunch or whatever, and it was a very brutal scene for Catherine because it makes her look cold-hearted. It makes her look like she's disheartening. It makes her just look like so messed up, basically, towards Jennifer, because Jennifer baby just had brain surgery. I believe, right? Brain surgery, open brain surgery, something like that. And, Jennifer's pouring her heart out to Catherine. Catherine's like, I don't want to hear it. Catherine feels like Jennifer is trying to use the situation of her baby's birth and the baby's illness to kind of creep her way back into Catherine's life and to apologize to Catherine or whatever. And Catherine feels like she's being manipulated. But anyways, I reviewed this whole episode with this scene with Jennifer and my playlist, so check it out. There's a lot of stuff that they talked about that was very interesting this season. It wasn't much that was interesting, but the things that were, I really went into great detail, and my reviews of the season and my playlist Southern Charm. So anyways, check it out. So anyways, so at the end, Catherine starts to cry because, Jennifer was like, it really hurted me so much. How she didn't have any love for me, and she just threw the book at me, and she was so cold-hearted. So then, instantly Catherine starts to cry. This is what these bitches do. They cry. How many times did Landon cry today? I mean, I'm both part 1 and part 2. How many goddamn times did Catherine cry? I mean, these girls are Hollywood actresses. I mean, they can cry on a drop of a dime. So anyways, so Catherine, she starts to cry and everything. And so then Craig, Craig is Catherine's woo man, and Craig has Catherine back. Craig was like, so, tell him what it's all about. Didn't you talk about this in rehab, that you seem to push people away or whatever? So yeah, I totally get that, totally understand that. That sometimes, even though when this person is right, and you should apologize to the person and make amends, it's just so much easier to be cold-hearted towards the person and move on with your life, because sometimes that happens with people with PTSD, where that it's really hard to build up relationships with people. It's just so easy to let them go, especially if you have opened up the door so many times and you've been disappointed, so you don't want to open up the door anymore, and once that door closes, why bother reopening again? So I totally understand where Catherine's coming from, but also like Catherine has said on this reunion, that she didn't know who to trust. Like, everybody did kind of like, Catherine really didn't have any real friends, and it seemed like Jennifer was her real friend at one point, so. And then I always believe, Elizabeth, which is JD's wife, I believe that she always had Catherine's back from Jump Street. I don't ever remembering Elizabeth talking negative about Catherine to Thomas or anybody else. I don't remember that. So anyways, when like Catherine keeps saying that she was so naive, yes, she was very young and very naive. So she's thinking these people like her. She's in the circle. She's in the inner circle. She's with her man, her friend, their friends like his friends like her. But when it's the total opposite, because we know Whitney was gunning for her like it was nobody's business. And Landon was gunning for her. Catherine was gunning for her. Craig would gun for her and then defend her at the same time. Not Craig, I mean Shep. And then on top of that, Craig always had Catherine's back, but there's sometimes he spoke up for her, sometimes he didn't. But he really, really had Catherine's back. So I think Craig and Elizabeth, JD's wife, really always had, Catherine's back. But as you see, Elizabeth is not on the show enough to be around. You know what I'm saying? But Craig is there. So, but you know, Elizabeth has to be, you know, a good person for, you know, Catherine to make her, you know, the godmother. You know what I mean? So, anyways, but you know what? I gotta take back what I said about Jennifer, because when Jennifer said that, you know what, when you know, Andy asked Jennifer, like, are you so where do your relationship go with, you know, Catherine or all this other stuff, you know? And so, you know, Jennifer says, like, if you was once my friend and I loved you and you were like family to me, there's nothing that you can ever do to break up that relationship where I would totally be cold and forget who you are and act like you don't know me, that I don't know you. So if you once had a place in my heart, you still always have a place in my heart, and that doesn't change. It's not conditional. That's what you call unconditional love. So I actually think Jennifer is a good person, a cool person, and the way that she said that, I don't know if it's true or not, because I don't know her, but to say that, like, that unconditional, because you see so much on this show where, okay, you do this one thing, we ain't friends no more, but we've been friends for years, but all of a sudden I say this or I get upset, you know, well, I'm closing the door to our friendship. Nah, if he was actually my friend, you know, you would have unconditional love. And if you love me and you ever said that you love me once, and we said we love each other and got each other's back, then that means that is not conditioned. Like, it's unconditional love. So anyways, I like that. So anyways, you go ahead, Jennifer. Then Jennifer exit the stage, and then Whitney joins the stage. He sits next to Craig, and Whitney and Craig do have the best suits on, but Craig still takes, you know, the best dress of the guys. And then we would have to say Whitney's next, and then we would have to say Austin is next. Then after Austin would be what, Shep, right? So anyways, yeah, it's hot in here. It's getting hot in here. Hot. So anyways, so then, you know, Thomas asked the question, was like, you know, Andy said, you know, you've been getting a lot of, you know, slack with people talking about, you know, your kids living in the guest house and your house and you living in the rest of the house. And then they was like, they're tired of Thomas acting like he's some great father or whatever, when the nanny raises his kids and they live in a guest house and he lives in a big house or whatever. And so, you know, Whitney comes to what's his name, Thomas' defense, saying that, you know, the house is not kid friendly, whatever. It has railings and stuff where they can hit their head, they can fall or whatever. And then, you know, Thomas says that he lives in the guest house with his kids. He makes them breakfast. He do all that good stuff. Catherine is like, no, he doesn't. He's lying. She's telling that to Craig, because, you know, Catherine and Craig got each other's back. So anyways, I like their dynamic. And so I'm not gonna lie, I dragged, you know, what's his name, Thomas, on Twitter for having his kids live in a goddamn guest house. And so then, you know, Thomas talking about he's going to move to a different neighborhood. He wants to move to a neighborhood where they have a pool, a park, a club pool or something like that in the neighborhood. You know, Catherine starts to cry because that's the dream that she wanted with Thomas. But remember, Thomas brought that house, like that bachelor pad, when she did have one kid already and was pregnant. And he didn't think about having a better house then or whatever that was closer to home. So anyways, you know, I know Catherine seeing that dream disappear, so that's probably why she was crying, and the hopes and the wishes that she had with this man. And Thomas was just threatening her. You can see that he's a mean motherfucker. He's a threatening, sarcastic, vengeful, low down, dirty motherfucker. If you're with Thomas is going to drag you. And he's going to make you feel very little if you're not on his level of superiority or have money or wealth or have the heritage or whatever. So, yeah, miss me with that shit, Thomas. You would be 50 and alone, motherfucker. Luckily, you got money, because if you didn't have no money, Thomas, the next best thing for you would be a cokehead. So, and we know you're fond of coke. So, anyways, where we go. And so then, you know, Whitney jumps in. And so then Thomas talk about Thomas losing his mojo. His mojo's been gone. He just got money. He just pays for pussy. Thomas goes on Backpage. He pays for pussy. That's it. So then Thomas talks about, hey, like, listen, you know, the women are either too young, they're in college, then they move away. If they're good women, they bounce. But they're too old. And 35 is the oldest. From 30 to 35, that's all he's going to date. And he was like, that's it. And so then we move on to Landon. Not Craig, Shep gets at Landon for her comment and that Nantucket. That's where I live around. Well, I don't live around Nantucket, but it's in the same vicinity. So anyways, Landon talks, Shep talks about Landon, her attitude, like she's getting too big for her britches, and she's talking about she hanging around with nobody but millionaires and billionaires and all this other stuff, and and these guys are actually Shep's partners or whatever, some bullshit. So then Landon was like, well, you don't know that. And then she starts to cry again. She was like, you don't know how it is when Attorney General or somebody tells you to go put on a short skirt and run around town. And she could really have a point. And she was like, they wanted me to stay on this boat with them, and it was like 3 guys, and I didn't want to do that, so I went and got my own room. You don't know how it feels uncomfortable. And just so then Craig goes, I talked to your business partner, Landon, and she said that you were totally out of control, you were totally disrespectful. And so then Landon goes that woe is me and all this other stuff. You don't understand, Shep. And then so Shep goes, like, I just wanted to see what was really going on, because, Landon's never acted like this before. I've never heard of anything negative about Landon before. So if you never heard of nothing about negative about Landon before, or that she doesn't act like this, why would you utterly just accuse her and then jump on the other people's side before talking to her? So basically, Shep's approach was wrong when he confronted Landon and how he did it. It's just like, whatever. They just needed a scene to film. Landon is too sensitive. She starts to cry when that scene. But anyways, check them out. Check out my reviews on the season, so you'll see that how I address that situation. So anyways, and so then they talk about Landon and, is Landon a gold digger? She ain't no gold digger, but she definitely ain't messing with no broke dude. So anyways, yeah, Landon's not gonna mess with a broke dude, but, she was dating that young dude, but he was young. So it didn't matter if he was broke, just as long as he had that long stroke, I guess. So anyways, there was like, also, do Landon come off as a gold digger? Like, and they're like, yeah, because she's talking about she had the house and the ponies with Thomas. Then she's talking about that she can tell a lot about a man by his luggage. And if it's all crappy and beat up, then I'm not going to travel the world with him. Then I know we can't travel the world together. And so then her castmates like Cameron and, Shep are like, yeah, you can't be doing that. You can't be saying stuff like that, because it does come off like you are a gold digger. But they don't believe that she is a gold digger or anything, because she got her own money. Her father be giving her money. And so then Cameron jumps in and she was like, my husband got, terrible cheap luggage, and he's a wonderful person, and plus he's a doctor. So, don't judge a book by its cover, basically what she's saying to Cameron. But Cameron is allowed to have her pet peeves. Everyone has their pet peeves. She wants somebody with some nice motherfucking luggage. But you know what? You can have nice luggage and a mean motherfucking horn. So anyways, Cameron says, she does come off that way. And so then there's another comment. Andy said that, some people was very upset with you, Landon, because you called Vale a truck stop. I don't even know what the hell this place is. And she was like, Landon was like, well, it's just like a running joke, a little friendly competition between Aspen and Vale, and people call, Vale a truck stop, and so Austin is like, woo, 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 Vale, because I guess that's where Austin's from. So then the person that wrote something, the comment that Andy read was like, you know what? You're nothing but a lame second-rate tour advisory travel website, some shit like that. She's like, you're a second-rate, low-budget advisory and all this other stuff. So then, what's her name? Landon, she's trying to defend herself. She was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. That's just how we talk, whatever. And so everybody's like, you know what? Shut the fuck up, Landon, basically. Just be quiet, because you keep digging graves. So basically, Landon has been backtracking this whole reunion. So anyways, and so they asked Thomas, they was like, Thomas, so you've been saying all season that Landon's marriage material. Then Thomas was like, oh, no, she's not really marriage material. She's just, she's like good fun. She's a good friend, this and that. Yeah, Thomas, you was saying all season she was marriage material and you was looking for a wife. and you didn't want no prenup when you was talking with her and Patricia. Anyways, it's in my reviews. Check it out of Southern Charm. So anyways, Thomas is like, no, I think people mistook that. People was jumping ahead of the gun. I don't think that, Landon's gonna be the next Mrs. Ravenel. Who's gonna be Mrs. Ravenel? Only person that's probably gonna marry you is Catherine, because she got your babies. Young cokehead. So anyways, so they asked Thomas about the scene when he was in the restaurant on a date with Landon, and then when the lady interrupt Thomas, was like, oh, Landon is your soulmate, you guys look good together. So Andy was like, I was wondering like if this was something production did, or was this like coached or whatever, and it was like, no, it's totally genuine. And so then that was funny. I remember I talked about that in the season. And so anyways, they're moving on. Catherine's over there rolling her eyes when she hears that. And so then, they start to talk about, Thomas and, Landon's trip or whatever, where they spent Valentine's Day together and they went away for 3 days. Landon said that's not true. Catherine said it is true. So they go back and forth and they argue. But, Landon stands by her word that it wasn't around Valentine's Day and it wasn't 3 days. And they went to a friend's, compound or whatever the hell it was. So anyways, it is what it is with that. And so then they talk about, Catherine coming, is it Cameron? No, not Cameron. Landon coming to Catherine's defense for, when Thomas was trying to degrade Catherine or whatever, and then Landon stepping in. And so that's when, there was like, yeah, Catherine really appreciate Landon coming to her defense and seeing how Thomas is. And then, they also show the comment when Landon's in Key West, and Landon says, I don't think that, Catherine hit rock bottom yet, and I don't really think she's committed to getting her kids back. And so then Landon, she backtracks and say, well, I didn't mean to say that. I really think that she wants her kids back and all this other stuff, and she's a good mother. So Landon's doing a lot of backtracking and a lot of crying. So anyways, So then they show about Catherine and Landon making up and apologizing to each other while it was in Key West. Then Catherine goes, it wasn't really genuine then, but right now on stage, the way that we're talking, the way that I could see how she stood up for me and how things are happening between her and Thomas and just how things went down, like right now is genuine. And it seems like Catherine and Landon are moving on a positive note. And, Catherine really feels good that Landon came to her defense. And so anyways, there was like, so then Andy asks, Landon, so why did you stick up for, Catherine? She was like, because I would never want to be on the receiving end of that stick, the way that, Thomas was coming at her. That's some wrath I don't want, and I don't want no parts of it. So it also lets you see that, that they know Thomas has a really ugly, dark side, and he can be vicious towards women, especially women he's sleeping with, and women that he thinks supposed to be on his team or whatever. So, and so, Landon says Thomas really got upset because he has really thin skin. He's really sensitive. And then Thomas concurs and agrees that he is sensitive. So, damn, this is too long. So anyways, then, Thomas looks like a mean asshole. He looks like a bully and all this other stuff. Then we get, Chelsea comes out. Chelsea looks great. Chelsea says that she's been knowing, what is his name? Shep for over 10 years. She has known him for a long time. And then they talk about, Cameron acts like she had nothing to do with Shep coming after Chelsea. And it was like, come on, you brought, after I told you, Cameron, that, Austin is pursuing me, you went and go buy a voodoo doll for, Shep. I remember that voodoo doll show was so funny. And it was like, so then Cameron was like, no, I didn't, blah, blah, blah. So then Cameron, she's copping pleas. She's apologizing that, yeah, she was going behind Austin's back and trying to get Shep and, you know, Chelsea together. So basically, Shep had 10 years to get with Chelsea, and all of a sudden now he wants to get with her. Just like, you know, Craig said, like, earlier in the season, that Shep is the kind of kid that's in a sandbox, and he's not playing with any of the toys, but once another kid gets in that sandbox, he's going to go after them toys and not let anybody play with them. So basically that's it. And so, you know, and so then they talk about, I guess, you know, Craig, you know, when Austin and Craig gets at, you know, Shep at the bar, when, you know, Austin is confronting Shep about him going after Chelsea and trying to grab her and kiss her and all this other stuff. And so that's in my review as well, when Austin and Craig was just getting Shep, and Shep was getting mad, Shep was getting upset because, and you know, it was so funny to see how Craig was just all in his glory to see that somebody's taking something out on Shep, because anytime you getting that Shep and if Craig's around, he's gonna jump in and be a participator, because he, any moment, any chance that he can get at Shep, he's going to, because Shep does the same shit to him, but Shep is more boisterous and more louder and more, you know, manly when he comes after Craig. So Craig needs a little help sometimes, and so Shep was like, yeah, you guys double team me and making me look bad, and you know, Craig felt all good because he had Austin to help him. You know, it had to take two of them to take me down. So, you know, Shep is just all in his glory, that woe is me, that they jumped me, you know, they jumped me verbally or whatever. And so Craig is sitting there laughing. You know, Craig is just smirking anytime they say, like, when, you know, Andy says to, since you chose Austin over, you know, you chose Austin over Shep, and Shep is like, no, she didn't really choose. Shep is just sitting there shaking. He, you know, he got the alcohol shakes over there, and Austin Shep, and then Craig is like, you know, because he knows that statement that Andy said is getting under Shep's skin. So shit was funny. But anyway, check out my review when Austin and Craig gets at Shep, and so Shep is just upset, and he feels like he was double teamed and all this other stuff. And so then they talk about Landon kind of like flirting with what's his name, with Austin or whatever. And then, you know, they're saying, so then, you know, Landon's like, well, both of y'all are like insecure. Like, I was just only being nice and friendly. Like, I'm not trying to get with any of y'all man or anything like that. And so, you know, Chelsea goes, I wouldn't do anything like that. That's disrespectful. Then, you know, Catherine jumps in and see, you know, Landon doesn't feel like she does anything wrong, that she oversteps that bound with the flirtation and all that other stuff. So anyways, you know, see, this again is Landon not knowing that she's overstepping her boundaries and she's being disrespectful. She's not respecting a relationship. And so then they ask Landon, what did they ask Landon? So now, you know, Catherine goes, so Chelsea, do you feel like, you know, Landon and Austin has something going on? Because if you feel that way, they probably did. And now we know that Austin and Chelsea are not together, because Austin said that he's single now. He's not in a relationship. So I guess Craig would be going back after, Shep would be going back after Chelsea. So anyways, you know, and so then Chelsea says to Landon, like, I wouldn't be like flirting, taking pictures, talking about, oh, you're so cute and all this other stuff. And so Landon was like, yo, listen, I said this could be your wedding invitation photo or whatever. And so, you know, Chelsea was like, if it was me, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't behave in that manner like the way that you was. So they both look at Landon like, you know, she's the flirtatious, she's stealing everybody's man or whatever. So anyways, and then so you get, you know, they start talking about Shep being so drunk, and Key West, he you know, having the chicken bone, you know, flavor stuck in his throat and all this other stuff, and they don't know how he got on an airplane. And so, you know, Craig is like, you know, if it wasn't for me, Shep would be in jail, whatever, because of public intoxication. So the reason, and so then Austin goes, I don't know how he got on the plane. And so then, Shep explains, I just kept my mouth closed, I didn't say a word, and that's what they did. So that's how he got on the airplane or whatever. And so then, Craig and Shep, they go back and forth. Then Craig says, Shep, you're not really happy because you says your ideal life would be you'll have 3 kids, you'll have a wife, and it won't be all just about money because, Andy brings up that, Craig talks about Shep only talking about his money. So Craig and Shep, they go back and forth. They call each other out for their lives being bad, or who life is better, who's really happy. And so Shep is just like, you know what, I'm happy, I'm secure with my life, I have everything that I want going on, I have good family, I have good friends, I have money, I have this and I have that, and so I'm okay right now. And so then Craig jumps in and goes, well, if that's the case, you don't want people jumping in your business. So when I tell you that I'm okay and everything's doing well in my life, why can't you accept it? Why you gotta keep nitpicking and try to pick me apart and try to say that I'm not happy, that I'm not where I'm supposed to be? So, and it was like, oh well, Craig, would you have graduated from law school or whatever if it wasn't for Naomi and Shep? And he was like, of course I would have. And so my paper was already written. And so then Austin's like, what do you mean, what does he mean about his paper's already written to Cameron? Cameron's like, just let it go. So I don't know if they're saying that he's not a lawyer or what. So then we get to that part. And so then Craig and Shep, they're going back and forth about each other. Shep is saying that, Craig is like Kim Jong-un and Trump and all this other stuff. Come on, that's over exaggerating that Craig is like that person because, so anyways, Shep and Craig agree that, they're never going to admit each other is wrong at all. So they go back and forth, and then Thomas goes, oh, look at Catherine. She's like the rose in between these two guys arguing. And so they talk about, Austin. But Craig says to, Shep, I'll let you be that drunk asshole who's dying inside because you're an alcoholic. Then everybody tries to cover up that Shep is not a drunk asshole, a drunk or alcoholic. Everybody on the stage except for Craig and Catherine. No, Catherine did try to cover it up too, and Anthony's like, oh, everybody's drunk because we know what's good. So when they talk about, the kiss between Catherine and the asshole Thomas, and that's about it. And then Austin is single. He's not with, I guess him and Chelsea are not together anymore. And then Thomas says that his dad is happy when he can pick up the newspaper, and Thomas Revenant is not in the newspaper. And Shep said he has a lot of growth to do, and he's hosting a new dating show, him trying to find love. That should be really funny. And basically that's it. So peace, I'm out. Like, subscribe, and check out my reviews of Southern Charm season 6. Southern Charm season 4. Episode 15, reunion part 2. So I get into all the stuff that they do talk about on the reunion, that which kind of made the season kind of good and kind of boring. So anyways, get at me. Peace.